So they finally gave the GOAT the Hall of Fame. Doesn't change the fact that he's a scumbag. We going live from the What up, YouTube, and welcome back to Live from the Underground. Here we delve into particular topics that we should always be talking about, especially when it comes down to underground hip-hop music. And I mean, I am completely on record by saying that Jay-Z is the GOAT. And I said this before I even knew he was getting inducted into the Hall of Fame this year. I didn't even know that this was going to happen. But I said vividly in a tweet not that long ago that Jay-Z is the GOAT musically. Musically, he's the GOAT. Like, you cannot take away his longevity. Like, when Jay-Z drops tracks today, even though he first came out, in the 90s? But when he drops music today, people still listen to it. I still get views based off of it. Like, everybody is excited for when Jay-Z drops something new, even though he is completely washed up. We all know that he's washed up. Like, okay, you don't get put into the Hall of Fame until you're washed up, ultimately. Like, Billy Sanders made the Hall of Fame in the NFL, but it wasn't like he was still playing, like he could still go out there and juke people out of their shoelaces. No. You only really make these things after you've been in the game for so long and you've been dominating for so long. So therefore, you might as well get honored with this. But yet, you are nowhere near what you used to be. You're not dominating the game like you used to do. So therefore, you know, they gave it to him, which is cool. Like, we should honor the fact that this person came out in the beginning with the Reasonable Doubt. Reasonable Doubt, the classic that I know pretty much backwards and frontwards at this point. Like, it's an amazing body of work where I've only had like 2 skip songs off of that entire project. I'm sure some people will be like, oh, there's no skip songs on it. Yeah, there are, but the vast majority of the project is fire. Next level. He brought in smooth lyricism with the Brooklyn grimy style. Like, he was taking Nas's whole style to a degree. Like, before he did Reasonable Doubt and all that stuff, he was with the Hawaiian shirts and all that, as Nas was documenting. And Nas needs to be in the Nas needs to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as well. But we talking about Jay-Z here. Like, Reasonable Doubt, amazing body of work, established that individuals in the streets decided how they wanted to approach the rap game and become more financial, more business worthy. Like, you can attribute the positive business actions of all the underground acts today going all the way back to Jay-Z. Like, Jay-Z all but pioneered it to a degree with Dame Dash and Rockefeller Records and all that stuff. Like, they showed us the foundation as an independent. Now, people just see and you hear what he's saying in all of the songs and you take it for face value instead of doing the actual work that they was doing behind the scenes. So all the good things that Jay-Z did and ultimately stood for, people took the worst out of it. Just like how everybody attribute like the whole going into the booth and doing one take Hove. People don't realize the work that went in behind it. Hold on one second. People being mad loud. But yeah, people attribute like the one take Hove to Jay, where he'll just go in the booth and spit one ball and spit. And everybody was like, oh, I can do that. And you see the side effects of that because people don't realize, oh, he was memorizing his lyrics. He would write his stuff well beforehand, memorize them to the point that he could recite them at any time that he wanted to. And then he would recite them on demand, one take Hove and keep it going. But yet people were like, oh, if he could do it in one take, I could do it in one take. And they don't put in the practice to memorize anything. They just go into the booth and rap some garbage. That's Jay-Z's legacy right there. And it's really because he didn't educate the people to what it takes in order to be one take Hove. Instead, he just wanted to proclaim himself the greatest and not show you the work that was involved. And I hate that aspect of it. But it works for Jay though. Because see, Jay, he built his image to be greater than anything. That's why he wanted to call himself Hove. For those of you who don't know what that means, that's Jesus' actual name. He briefed it up so that he can become what he deemed as God MC. So he tries to show you the greatness of everything that he does without showing you the work that's behind it so that you can envision him as greater than what he actually is. And because he went that, music went into a completely horrible direction because showing people the dedication, the grind, the hard work that goes into it. That's the side effects. When you try to show people that the game and everything that you do is so much easier than what everyone else is doing, then people aren't going to take it serious enough to put in the work. Thank you, Jay-Z. I appreciate you for making mainstream hip-hop as well as underground hip-hop worse. But yet, I mean, we still can't deny the catalog. I mean, after Reasonable Doubt came Volume 1. Volume 1 wasn't the most amazing body of work, but some hits up on there. Where I'm From, even though they messed it up by putting nothing but the edited version on the actual disc, and it took a very long time before people actually got the unedited versions of Where I'm From. But that song is a hit that goes on today. Volume 1 has some strong joints on there, dude. We all know this wasn't his best work by no means. It wasn't anything beyond what people like. It's not one of the favorites that people always say, oh, that's the one that you gotta have. Reasonable Doubt is that one. But then after Volume 1 came Volume 2. Volume 2 being the moment where he decided and realized his commercial viability to actually go multiple platinum, to dominate the commercial industry, to be like to the forefront of getting money. He brought in the whole I'm getting and building this wealth. That's what Volume 2 did. And there was some great hits on there, dude. Like Can I Get Her still lives on to this day. Wasn't Can I Get Her? No. Can I Get Her wasn't produced by Timbaland. The one produced by Timbaland. I forget the actual name of it. But fire songs, man. Like a lot of fire songs, as that kind of broke the mold and shifted him from being more of an underground feel smooth drug dealer, mainstream fool. Like he brought, that's where he brought the trap and the drug dealing game to the mainstream with Volume 2. And the game has never been the same since then. Like from that point on, people realize I need to get this money. I need to get this bread. I need to show my dominance. And I can be punchline master, punchline king. I can show you my arrogance and continue to be dominant out here. I don't have to sell out and tap dance for the mainstream. I can show the mainstream what the streets is all about and sell based off of that. That was a very important part of what he did to the game, why he's deserving of this Hall of Fame. You gotta respect it. After Volume 2 came what? Was Volume 3 the next thing that came out? Hold up. I believe it was Volume 3 that came out after Volume 2. where we at? Hard Knock Life, 1998. What came out 99? Yep, Volume 3, Life and Times of Sean Carter. Came out in 99. Like, and this is another part of the blueprint that Jay-Z has shown. Like, you can drop album after album after album yearly and still find success and still drop quality music while doing it. Now, Volume 3 wasn't my favorite album. You feel me? Like, I like the intro. But the club song that was like the single, Put Your Hands Up, not one of my favorites. Like, that entire album really didn't do much for me. Year 2000 dropped The Dynasty. And that was just as bad as Volume 3. I mean, I think it was worse than Volume 3 because, you know, Jay-Z, whenever he does collaborations, he doesn't put forth the maximum effort. He doesn't put forth a lot of work, and it's more to showcase his artist lineup, which is fine, but Dynasty is widely known. The intro is all you really should care about. That is what it is. But that kind of counted for an album for the year that he's still dropping year to year at this moment. After that, dropped The Blueprint, 2001. A classic as Volume 2. Many people will deem The Blueprint as better than Reasonable Doubt. I won't. Reasonable Doubt is my favorite all time, point blank period. But The Blueprint, whew, easily number 2. Like, I'll take I'll go Reasonable Doubt, then The Blueprint, then Volume 2. But The Blueprint, man, that's pretty much the introduction of Just Blaze, Kanye West as producers, as they produced like the bulk load of that and got some of my favorite songs on it. Like, You Don't Know What You Doing. Oh my God. Like, this is the project that pretty much put Kanye West on his feet, as people started to get all of Kanye's beats because they wanted the same sound that Jay-Z was dropping. He reinvented all of New York sound with The Blueprint. You got to respect it. But then The Blueprint 2 came 2002. Well, Blueprint 2 is not his best work. Like, this is him, honestly, the best songs on there is him trying to get his revenge after getting ate up by Nas on Ether. He spent a couple joints on there trying to do that, and some of them were cool, but not enough. But Blueprint 2 had some solid stuff on there. The intro where he had the I see, I said, I agree, I said, got the whole industry mad at me, I said. And then B.I. said, Hov, remind yourself, nobody built like you designed yourself. I agree, I said, my one-of-a-kind self getting stoned every day like Jesus did. What he said, I said, has been said before. Just keep doing your thing, he said. Say no more. Like, oh. That was fire. But it was really just that and the song that he was trying to get his get back on Nas. That was really all that I was rocking with off The Blueprint 2. But it is what it is. That was a solid piece of music. Not great, solid. But a continuation in his dominance as he leads into 2003, The Black Album. This was classic. This was supposed to be his last album, which is funny. Like, anybody who's new who hasn't really been following Jay-Z all like that, 2003 was supposed to be his last album. This was when he was breaking up Rockefeller. This is when he felt as though he was done, and he got some of the best hits from Kanye West on this joint. But, I mean, songs like Lucifer, Ruin It, let's not deny that. Ninth Wonder, Shots at You, bro. That was a terrible track on a classic material, on a classic album. But that Encore, oh my God, Encore? Like, the Black Album was amazing. That's one that you got to rank up there with Reasonable Doubt, Blueprint. Those were easily his 4 best albums. Uh, did he have anything 94? I think he took the year off on 94 besides like little whack stuff like the collision course that he did with Linkin Park. 2005, nothing, I don't believe. No. It's like he made his comeback in 2006 with Kingdom Come. You ready for Kingdom Come? Like, there's only 2 songs off of that people actually rock with. But that was honestly the beginning of the fall off. He never should have came back at that point. But he did anyway, which was a mistake, but it is what it is. But then 2007 is when American Gangster, the movie, came out, and he decided to make his own soundtrack without it being tied to the actual movie, because he felt that was his life story. And there was one song on there, I don't need no hook for this shit. That was fire. That was the quality of music that we all wanted from him. But that was like the only, maybe a couple more in there that people will say was good, but that was the only song that I'm rocking with off of that. Did he have anything 2008? I don't think he had 2008. But 2009, he went into, what was it, 2000? He had something in 2009. He had the Blueprint 3, 2009. And A Star Was Born, J. Cole. Like, now that wasn't like the first hit to put J. Cole on, in my view. Like, Jay-Z hasn't really done a lot to push J. Cole, but that song is one that many people remember that helped push J. Cole forward. There was a couple more songs up on the Blueprint 3. I'm not one of my favorites, but I would say a solid 2 to 3 songs on it that still live on to this day. Nothing for 2010, I don't believe. 2011, Watch the Throne, trash. I know a lot of people like the hype and the fact that it's Kanye and Jay-Z together. Everybody wants that to be like, everybody wanted it to be so good that you just let all of the flaws, everything that was pretty bad about that, just slide by instead of actually criticizing it for what it was. Then he took a year off again, and then came Magna Carta, Holy Grail. No words, bro. I ain't got no rap. Magna Carta, Holy Grail was pretty bad. And then after Magna Carta, it took a little bit of time off, which he needed to do, leading into 444 from 2017, which that was trash. I don't listen to none of those albums. But can we deny that his impact from his prime hasn't shape-shifted the culture to where it's at now? No, we never gonna do that. Like, Jay-Z provided the foundation for what rap music is today, regardless of, like, he's in his twilight years. It's like Drew Brees at the end of his career, he wasn't putting up the numbers. He couldn't get the ball downfield. He wasn't putting up the numbers like he used to, because you're not supposed to. You're never going to be able to compete with the youth coming into the game. Not very few people are like Tom Brady that's going to continue to ball out year after year after year. But yet, even Tom Brady had to go ahead and get a whole bunch of youth, get a whole better team in Tampa Bay. Like, he wasn't dominating like he'd been dominating, minus this week because he sucked this week. But he wasn't dominant like he was this year when he was with the Patriots, his last year, the Patriots. Like, you see the greats over time, how their skill levels and everything goes away because the hunger ain't there. They've been there, they did it. Like, you can't expect them to be a continuous dominant force in the game. You're supposed to be looking towards the youth. You're supposed to be seeing Kyler Murray dominate all the way. You're supposed to be seeing what's his name for the Bills. I forget the Bills quarterback though. Him dominate all the way. Like, the youth are supposed to come through and take the game. You're supposed to take the torch from the greats like Jay-Z and push it forward like how J. Cole did for Jay-Z. He took everything that Jay was doing, but he's been doing it better, and he's been doing it with less promotion, and he just built going to walk away from him. He took what Jay-Z did and flipped it and made it better. So even as Jay-Z is washed up, you see his legacy continue to get pushed forward, even though he's full of crap. Because when you begin to look at Jay-Z as a businessman, now I don't believe Jay-Z as the cutthroat businessman should apply to his struggles. You feel me? Like to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I do believe music, not the individual, not what they've done, not how many people they screwed over, like how Jay-Z screwed over Dame Dash completely to Rockefeller never showed so that he can go ahead and get this big corporate paper. Like, that was cold. And now he wants to shout out Dame Dash in his Hall of Fame speech, like, without you, there's no me type ish, which that's facts. But if you really wanted to show respect to Dame Dash, you would have let him sell the NFT. Like, he clearly needs the money. He clearly doesn't want to be part of the Rockefeller imprint like that no more because, you know, you threw away that imprint anyway. You went on with the corporate white people. But like, what's the point in holding on to that if it isn't profiting him and if he needs the money? This is why you got Dame Dash doing drunk interviews, like super upset, giving out all of the truth behind the scenes of how much of a scumbag Jay-Z has been. But let's not forget all this stuff that he did over Kaepernick too. Like, you pretty much sold out black society and black hip hop music to the NFL so you can get a check. If the Hall of Fame actually cared about the individual and what they represent, and if they done right by their legacy and all that, Jay-Z shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. But it should be about the music. Because, as I said, the albums, my favorite albums, the Reasonable Doubt, Blueprint, the Black Album, these albums changed the face of music. They changed the way the game is played. They changed the way that individuals today are making money. It shows you how to become an independent hustler, to be super successful using your own grind. And you got to give props to that, even though the individual does not deserve any props at all. The individual clearly he sabotaged music more. Well, he sabotaged music more behind the scenes than what people will equate him to have been doing. He sabotaged a lot of great artists as well that could have been more. Like, how he promoted J. Cole. If J. Cole wasn't taking it upon himself to do what he needed to do, J. Cole wouldn't be who he is today. J. Cole made it in spite of Jay-Z. Like, Jay-Z's whole record label, the Rock Nation and all that stuff, didn't push Big Crit. Didn't do very much for Big Crit at all, which Big Crit was one of the best to come out in a minute, especially for the South. Big Crit should have continued to push the imprint of what UGK was to the masses in the mainstream based off of the music that he was delivering. Like, oh my God. But what What help did Jay-Z do Big Crit when he was with Def Jam? Didn't do much. Instead, Jay-Z was promoting his own albums. Jay-Z was competing with Ludacris when he was supposed to be the CEO of Def Jam. He wasn't giving Ludacris the promotion that he needed, and Ludacris was one of the best in the industry at that particular time that a lot of people continuously sleep on how great Ludacris was. But Luda was signed to Def Jam, and Jay-Z was competing directly with Ludacris for promotional dollars, and since he was the president of Def Jam at the time, who you think was getting the promotional dollars when Luda deserved them more? What did Jay-Z and the Rock Nation imprint actually do for Jay Electronica? Riddle me that. Shouldn't Jay Electronica have been, like, as much as Jay-Z was on Jay Electronica's album and like his mixtape singles and all that stuff, like, it felt like, I don't know if this is the way that Jay wanted to do it, but it felt like Jay saw potential in Jay Electronica and he wanted to hop on all of his stuff so Jay-Z he can continue his own brand instead of actually pushing Jay Electronica and getting his mind focused to become something more in this industry. That's what I feel as though Jay-Z was doing. And that's not a good look for the longevity and legacy of him. Oh, what up, Intelligent Cycle, man? I wasn't even looking at the comments. Intelligent Cycle says, yeah, Volume 3 was the next one that came after Volume 2. Yep. Intelligent Cycle also said, Jay's collaborative works like Collision Course with Linkin Park and Best of Both Worlds. I didn't even mention Best of Both Worlds. That Best of Both Worlds was trash. The intro was pretty much all there was to it. And now with all these things coming out about R. Kelly, like, that's one album that should be buried in the history. He said, Intelligent Cycle also says the blueprint was where the soulful music production, that's where that pretty much emerged, especially for New York caliber. Fact. As Just Blaze did some joints off the blueprint too. Yeah, like Just Blaze did my favorite joint off of the blueprint. That you don't know what you doing. That was Just Blaze. Chopped it up just right. That was close. That was the emergence of Just Blaze, and after that, like, Just Blaze took it to a whole nother level with Dipset and all of that stuff, man. But like, Jay knew how to find the great producers who was sample heavy, that gave the soulful change of music to the New York caliber MCs and stuff, man. And that was fire. You got to give it to him, man. You got to give it to Jay. Musically, he was amazing. Not throughout his career, in his prime. Jay-Z in his prime was better than the vast majority of all the artists to ever have come out. And yes, for all you real hip-hop heads, better than KRS-One. Whole generation, even though he was stealing from that entire generation too. Let's not deny that element of his legacy, where what he would do is he would take notable bars from the 80s, notable bars from the 90s, take the first part of it, and then try to put his own spin on it because he had nothing to write about. Now, should that be reflected positively on him? I don't think so, because that should take away from your actual creativity and the fact that, you know, you ain't really cutting these people a check who you did this for. You just trying to show love. You trying to pay homage, as people were saying. But no, that's like how sample producers would sample people and not give them the credit for this stuff. Bruh, that's theft. Like, they should give you an interpolation credit if you took the bars and tried to spin it, right? But he would do it without doing that because he was grimy. Everything that Jay-Z did was ultimately grimy. And And that's really my time right there. My nephew is going to come down any minute now, but we're going to run it up until my nephew come down here and try to get up on the game. But yeah, man, Jay-Z, phenomenal artist. I love the music. I listen to it to this day. Like, dude, I gotta do anybody out there even know what a Sony Walkman is? But not the old Walkman where you put in the battery and you got the tape. We talking the premium discs, the mini discs. Like, I have an entire mini disc in which this mini disc is 80 minutes. Like, that's how much time you players before in the past. You would only get like 80 mini discs, you feel me? I got a whole one just dedicated to Jay-Z. All the albums from the beginning up until like he fell off. But all them joints, man, I threw them all on just one mini disc, filled up 80 full minutes of it. And that's what I was listening to when I was walking to get to school. Like, I had to walk a solid hour and a half to get to school. So what is that? That's 90 minutes. In 90 minutes, I run through the entire playlist of all of Jay-Z's albums. And then I got like extra 10 minutes, so I switch the disc and I'll go into Kanye. I'll go into all the other T.I., Kanye, all the other stuff. But for 80 minutes straight, I would just go in on nothing but Jay-Z hits. Name another artist that got that. That got 80 straight minutes where you probably are because 80 minutes ain't enough. Jay-Z can do an entire show with nothing but hits that everybody knows. That's why it's very difficult for anybody to put forth anything against him in a versus battle. He got maybe over 130, 150 minutes of bangers that everyone knows. And we're not even including the mixtape series of DJ Clue that people recognize that's becoming an accepted thing because of what Jadakiss did. This is why, like, the whole Jay-Z versus Nas versus battle probably will never happen because, I mean, Nas got the bangers too now. I'm not discrediting Nas. As I said, Nas should be in the Hall of Fame. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Nas is one of the greatest of all time to do it too. Like, they should honestly be a joint greatest of all time because when Nas beat him easily with Ether, and then Nas has classic materials going all the way back, but then all the way like Stillmatic, when Nas was supposed to be dead, he came back with a classic to defeat Jay-Z in a battle. Like, bruh, you cannot deny that. You cannot deny his greatness, that he should be in the Hall of Fame. And Nas ain't never did no grimy stuff like how Jay-Z been doing grimy stuff, you feel me? I have yet to hear, and I'm sure there are some things that Nas have done, but I have yet to hear anything truly negative that sells out the entire hip-hop culture coming from Nas. I have way more respect for Nas than I have for Jay-Z. But you gotta recognize the GOAT when you see the GOAT musically. Musically, his catalog is just unbelievable. It's one that branched out from the underground artists, from being underground, changing how underground street drug dealing music honestly was, making it into something far more of quality, to taking it to commercial game, showing you that you can be gutter, you can be street, and you can be commercial at the same time. Without him, there's no Future, there's no all this trap music and all these individuals doing street music with the trap, yeah, that's not going to exist. Like, if it wasn't for Jay-Z, the only rappers who's getting into the mainstream, putting out street music like that, you're pretty much Shiny Suit Man. Yeah, you're pretty much going the Diddy route, getting whack beats, or you're going, I'm not going to say all Diddy beats that he had a hand in was whack. Nah, but you're going to sample pop music. You're going to sample music that's not completely street. You're going, as a street individual, you're going to become more of just an entertainer, which is fine. I'm not taking away from it. But yet Jay-Z showed you that you can remain street and then go industry and still make multi-million sales. And which, without that, is the music industry as we see it continued as one of the biggest and best and greatest industries that ever was? Is that an actual thing without Jay-Z? I strongly doubt it. So with that in mind, you give the GOAT his props, but you also recognize you're a shitty human being. Everything that you've done have sabotaged not only culture, but black people as a whole. It's hard for us to rock with you, Jay. It's really hard. But my fondness of my childhood towards your music makes me always respect and love what you did in the past. So I salute him for becoming who he is today, for reaching this Hall of Fame. Good job. But here on the underground, we value what you do, not only for the youth, but for the community. Not only for the community, for the culture. We value who you are as an individual, how many people you screwed over, how much negative things have you done and ruined for everyone. We put that all into play. You can still be the GOAT and a crappy individual, but we not gonna forget, bruh. We not. But that's it for today, man. That's it for today's rant, where I ain't about to go ahead and log off of this and jump into some Street Fighter. And competitive at that. And my nephew he's clearly waiting to come in and sit down. So it is what it is. Thank you everybody for making it this far. If you made it this far, please hit me with a like, subscribe. I try to do one of these every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe even Fridays if I can find a chance all the time to do so. But yeah, you know how it be. Weekends I be working for the most part. I be doing other things. But I also do Street Fighter gameplay. I also do reviews on Fridays, on Thursday nights, 12 o'clock to about 3 in the morning. I'm doing the review of the new music that's coming out. Do a bunch of things, man. So go ahead, hit a like, subscribe, man. Guys, next time, y'all be easy.